In Venezuela, people took to the streets to support re-elected President Nicolás Maduro and the victory of peace and democracy. In India, at the third summit of the Voice of the Global South, Cuba once again denounced the negative impact of unilateral coercive measures as an enormous obstacle to the full economic and social development of the island. In Palestine, a mission of the United Nations organization has succeeded in visiting a devastated north of Gaza. The mission assures 130 people have been killed or assassinated every day for the last 10 months. Hello, welcome to From the South. I am Irma Shelton from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In the face of the discrediting campaign in international media and social networks, which built a parallel Venezuela once again, the Venezuelan people took to the streets. More details with our correspondent, Gladys Quesada.
Thousands of Venezuelans held 100 marches this Saturday in the same number of cities, raising the symbols and the slogans that weeks ago were part of the campaign of the Great Patriotic Poll and now are part of the Chavista imaginary. The gallo pinto, the songs, the new slogans. The difference is that this time they assured what they have already decided, the civic will through the vote, and that the fascist outbreaks tried to deny them.
Bueno, aquí estamos para, entre otras cosas, para apoyar a nuestro presidente.
Well, we are here among other things to support our newly elected president Nicolás Maduro and to show the world and the empire that there are people here defending this election process that the right wing and the empire itself want to take away from us. That is why we the people are in the streets just as they are with their lies. They say that they won, we won with the truth, and that is why we are always in the streets saying that we are the ones who won. We won the people, we won the homeland. Nicolás Maduro won, and we are always in the streets supporting our president Nicolás, who is the one who guarantees us the peace, sovereignty, and freedom that we have.
Que nos garantiza la paz, la soberanía y la libertad que tenemos.
In this march, as a mosaic, there is a room for everyone. Women, men, young people, the elderly, those who practice some faith, and those who simply bet on the future of Venezuela and reject violence.
We are marching in support of President Maduro, who was re-elected, and we have the conviction that he is the president, and that is why we came to support him, always.
To all the peoples of the world, Venezuela is the one we are showing. Venezuela is not the one shown by the right wing, that of the coup, that of the neglect. Venezuela is different. Venezuela is the Venezuela that is showing Chavismo today, marching for peace and sovereignty.
In the Bolivarian nation, in spite of violent outbreaks and discredit campaigns, the revolution is already setting new goals, perfecting mechanisms, and looking ahead. Meanwhile, its people understand their circumstances and continue.
We are fighting for decent housing, for health care, for everything, because I know that our president is working for the people, and we don't want violence. We want to continue moving forward. We don't want violence. We want a tranquility, a spiritual peace. We want peace for Venezuela, that the children in health, education, everything is ahead, that our president, I know that he is going to help us.
Well, right now there is no violence, but every time there is violence it is generated by Maria Corina and all her fascist combo, supported by the empire. They are the ones who generate violence, and President Maduro always calls for calm and peace. That is why we are still here with Nicolás Maduro.
Venezuela understands peace and knows its reasons to face violence with justice and integrity, especially in times where parallel realities are built in international networks and media that, by calling so much to the supposed democracy, want to deny the voice of those who march to raise it. Gladys Casara, TeleSUR, Caracas, Venezuela.
The Bolivarian president has reiterated that he wants to get closer to religious groups such as the Catholic Church because what is currently at the stake is a struggle of good against evil, with leaders of the extreme right like Elon Musk and the purposes they defend and represent being members of the latter.
I would like to have excellent relations with the Catholic Church. And I'm going to do my best, because we are going to achieve it. With the priest of the base, with the parish priests, with the village priests, to unite the Christian, evangelical, and Catholic people, as we must unite the people of Venezuela. When speaking of faith, compatriots, we are facing demons. When I say that we are facing demons, I am not exaggerating. They have a satanic pact with the Satanic Church of the United States. The Sayona wears a medallion and some strange things, because she has a pact with Elon Musk and the Satanic Church of Detroit. That is why I say that we are facing a satanic Goliath. Elon Musk was afraid. He withdrew from the battle. He did like the devil when Florentino arrived. Get out of here.
In the context of the great day of world solidarity with Venezuela and peace, several countries expressed their support for the electoral victory of President Nicolás Maduro and the democratic process that took place on July 28.
In Colombia, the movement in solidarity with Venezuela held an informative debate on the national situation in Venezuela, while in Chile, a group of leaders demanded President Gabriel Boric to recognize the legitimate triumph of Nicolás Maduro. In Paraguay, the electoral companies of the country in the electoral process of last July 28 subscribed a document congratulating Nicolás Maduro and the Venezuelan people for their democracy celebration. Meanwhile, in Cuba, a day of solidarity with the Bolivarian Revolution took place, led by several Cuban authorities. Social and political organizations of Grenades showed their support to the Venezuelan people in defense of democracy. Also, Petrocaribe workers in Dominique condemned the violence of the global extreme right against the Venezuelan nation. Social and political groups of Saint Vincent and the Grenadines mobilized against fascism and in favor of peace in Venezuela. In Vietnam, cultural and friendship groups participated in a forum on the presidential electoral process held on July 28. Likewise, in Kazakhstan, the Foundation Ambassadors of the Earth asked for respect for the Venezuelan sovereignty. From Egypt, groups in solidarity with the Bolivarian Revolution supported the reflection of the Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. The people of Mali supported the South American country within the framework of the International Day for the Defense of Democracy. In this line, the youth league of the Swampo Party in Namibia supported Venezuelan sovereignty in favor of peace and against fascism. In Spain, a day for peace and against fascism was held where citizens spoke out in defense of the Venezuelan democracy. While in the United Kingdom, a discussion was held for the respect of the sovereignty and independence of Venezuela. Lastly, in the Netherlands, citizens rallied to demand respect, sovereignty, and peace for Venezuela.
And now let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In India, at the third summit of the Voice of the Global South, Cuba once again denounced the negative impact of unilateral coercive measures as an enormous obstacle to the full economic and social development of the island. These were the words of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cuba, Bruno Rodriguez Parrilla, who participated by satellite in the event organized by the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. This summit is an extension of the initiative inspired by the Cooperation for All, Development for All, the aspirations of all, and the efforts of all. This important meeting was attended by all the countries of the South whose solidarity with Cuba was valued by the head of the diplomatic service.
In an increasingly interconnected world, the imposition of unilateral coercive measures constitutes a serious obstacle to the achievement of economic and social development. For more than 60 years, the Cuban people have been suffering the serious and negative effects of a suffocating economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed by the government of the United States, which has been intensified to an extreme dimension since 2019.
In Palestine, a mission of the United Nations organizations have succeeded in visiting a devastated north of Gaza. The image of the destructions and death shared by the humanitarian delegation correspond to the numbers that the whole world recognizes except the United States, Israel, and Canada. The mission assures that more than 40,000 dead is a green milestone for the whole world. In the records of the organizations, the numbers are overwhelming. In Gaza, 130 people have been killed or assassinated every day for 10 months. They have also ratified that the closure of hospitals, the polio epidemic, and the humanitarian crisis jeopardize the truths that Gaza of the world are waiting for. In Palestine, at least 2 people were killed in a drone strike by the Israeli army in the West Bank. Palestinian officials report that the shelling by the Israeli army directly hit a car in which the 2 people were being held. In this context, at least 635 Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank following constant attacks by the Israeli army since October 7, while at least 18 Israelis, including soldiers, have been killed in Palestinian attacks, according to official Israeli figures. In Israel, thousands demonstrate to demand a ceasefire agreement and a new exchange of Israeli detainees for Palestinian hostages. Protesters, including relatives of the detainees, gather in the so-called hostage square to demand the return of their loved ones. The citizens also call on Prime Minister Netanyahu and the negotiating team to reach an agreement with the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas. It should be noted that the Israeli delegation is on the defensive, rejecting any possibility of a solution to the conflict and pushing for more attacks in the Palestinian territories.
For me, it's very important. We have to keep our democracy. We have to keep Israel free. We have to be here against the madness that is happening in our country. And that's it. Truthful. We have a prime minister that is not so much willing to release the hostages. He is not so willing to finish the war because he has his own interests.
We don't believe that the government is leading us to the right place. We don't believe in this government at all. We want our hostages to be back, and we want to find some sort of solution to what's happening here.
We cannot afford not to have hope. I cannot imagine the families of the hostages. I don't know how to survive. I have to have hope for them.
And we have a second short break coming up. But before, we invite you to visit our YouTube channel, TeleSUR English. There you will be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcasting, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In the northern Chinese province of Taiwan, hundreds of people gathered to celebrate the Festival of the Hungry Ghost. Water lanterns filled with offering for ancestors and those who perish at sea are lit and thrown into the ocean. The intricate structures take the shape of an ancient Chinese guest houses and are an invitation to the spirits to come ashore ahead of their month stay in the world of the living. 15 water lanterns, each representing a clan, a family association in the northern port city of Keelung, were set alight and released into the sea by local firefighters near midnight. In Chinese culture, the 7 months of the lunar calendar is the ghost months. When the dead return to wander the earth, people will burn just paper and offer food to these wandering souls to appease them.
We are putting out the water lanterns, inviting our brothers and ancestors to come ashore for a meal. So we will release the water lanterns shortly, inviting those who passed away at sea, those who died in boat accidents, or those who died in plane accidents. We invite all those people to come ashore for a big feast tomorrow. So today's important event is releasing the water lanterns. This here is one behind me. Why we make it in the shape of a house? It is so the spirits can come here as a place to change their clothes, a place for them to have rest. That's why we made the water lanterns in the shape of a house, so they can live here.
Meanwhile, in Iran, Hathor has become the 28th site to be recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, highlighting the historical importance of the city of Hamadan. This ancient site symbolizes the unity of the Iranian people as well as being deeply intertwined with the Middle Parthians and Sassanid dynasties. Historically known as Ecbatana, Hetmatanet was the capital of the powerful Median Empire and later became a nerve center of the Achaemenid Empire. Despite its importance, much of these sites remains unexplored, suggesting the possibility of a future discoveries that could further illuminate the ancient history of Iran. UNESCO listing not only celebrates the country's rich and extensive history, but also reaffirms its crucial role in the development of the region's cultural landscape. And here in Latin America, with a great enthusiasm and pride, Nicaragua kicks off the celebration with its International Holiday 2024. This year, the celebration not only highlights the country's rich cultural heritage, but also its remarkable progress in the field of education.
With cultural events and tributes to the national symbols of Nicaragua, schools throughout the country have begun the celebration of national holidays to commemorate historical events, the 203rd anniversary of the independence of Central America and the 168th anniversary of the Battle of San Jacinto.
I think it is very important and interesting to learn about our culture as Nicaraguans, about our heroes, and to talk about their great heroic deeds. I think it is very important because it is part of our culture, it is part of our tradition, and it is part of our national identity.
We salute our blessed and always free homeland, Nicaragua's sovereignty, always remembering the historical memory of our national heroes who defended our country in the true context of struggle against the filibusters of foreign intervention. A constant battle that we had, but that Nicaragua has always given good sons to defend and fight for that sovereignty, for dignity and identity.
The festivities include parades of thousands of students, as well as performances by bands and rhythmic gymnastics, reflecting the diversity and cultural richness of the nation.
We are making students aware of the importance of patriotic symbols and how important it is that we respect them.
In the context in which we live, that thanks to God we live in times of peace, in times of love, comes to strengthen those foundations that have allowed Nicaragua to move forward throughout its history.
At the center of this celebration, special emphasis has been placed on recent achievements in education, underscoring the country's commitment to development and equal opportunity.
For example, we highlight English as a true second language, a country project that puts in the hands of all our children and adolescents a new language, a new experience in a free and public way for all.
Nicaragua, with a deep sense of pride and unity, joyfully celebrates sovereignty and peace during these national holidays. This festive spirit not only commemorates history and national identity, but also reinforces the commitment of Nicaraguans to the future of their country.
TeleSUR, Nicaragua.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I am Irma Shelton. Thank you.